Hi, I'm Diana Iakoslavis, and today I'm sitting here with our head of class action department, Darryl Singer.
Hello.
And of course, the managing partner of Diamond & Diamond, Sandra Ziskind.
Hi, Diana.
How's it going, guys?
It's going great, Diana.
Good, good. I'm seeing a lot of whirling and swirling online and in the papers and what have you. The Diamond & Diamond is just firing off all these class actions.
We are indeed.
A lot of people are like, okay, cool, a class action on behalf of, but can you explain to everyone what exactly is a class action? Because
You go right ahead, Darryl. You're the head of the department. You should. I'm rating you on how you're going to explain it right now. Right now, your end of your bonus is going to depend on how you're explaining it right now. So go right ahead.
Go to managing partner. Let's go.
So a class action is very simple. It's when there's a large number of people that have the same claim against the same person or corporation, and rather than doing many, often hundreds or thousands of individual claims, we do one claim where we represent the entire group.
Everybody?
Everybody.
Like every single name?
Every single name, but they're not all on the statement of claim. What we call the lawsuit, the person named on the lawsuit is what we call the representative plaintiff, and that person or persons represents the entire group of everybody that would be affected as what we call part of the class.
So that's representative plaintiff is the one that just like, this is my crew, they're all behind me, but I'm the one that's going to be, the name that's going to be out there. When the claims are issued and all that stuff, that's the person that's...
Correct. It's the head of the crew.
The head of
exactly how you explained it.
The leader of the group.
The leader of the group is the person that is the forward face of the class action. Okay. But they basically act on behalf of all of the people.
How do they take on that responsibility? Like, what's their, like, that's like burden. Is it a burden or is it I don't know. What do you call it?
Well, they're really they're the person or persons, and we usually would have between 1 and 3 representative plaintiffs. And those are the people that would give us the instructions. Those are the people that we would report to, that we communicate with, so that as the lawyers, we're not communicating with dozens or hundreds or thousands of people that are involved in the class. We're just dealing with those 1, 2, or 3 people.
Yeah.
And those people also do not have to deal with the rest of the class. So as the class progresses, it's simply the lawyers and the representative plaintiffs who are communicating as the case moves forward.
And usually the representative plaintiffs do get a better compensation at the end. They're given a higher compensation than the rest of the class usually.
Okay.
Because they're the forward-facing person, because they have to go through more hoops, because they're more involved in the lawsuit, they're given more of a compensation for it.
They have more responsibilities overall, I would say.
Well, they have the responsibilities really for advancing the case forward, as opposed to the class members who are not representative plaintiffs who have no responsibilities and might be in the class whether they want to be or not.
How big has your class been in the past?
Depends on the case.
How many classes you got?
Oh, it could be thousands and thousands of people, because we have a data breaches cases where
millions,
where it's been tons and tons of people. It could be millions, it could be thousands, it could be anything in between.
So how do you decide who's going to be how do you pick? Out of the lot.
People come
Put
forward.
everybody's name in a bag. And then we shake it up really, really well.
Turn the wheel.
And then now it's mine. No, that's actually not how we do it. But go ahead, Darryl. I'll tell them the correct way to do it.
Usually people approach us. We don't go out and find people. People come to us and say, this is what happened.
Okay.
And sometimes they come to us and say, this is what happened, and I'd like to lead a class action.
Okay.
Other times they come forward and simply say, this is what happened, can you sue for me? And we take, Sandra and I will take a look at it and say, oh, this is more than just you.
Yeah.
This is a whole class of people.
Yeah.
Would you be prepared to be the representative plaintiff to move a class action forward?
And that's like, I guess if there's a big something that you have to go out, like you're obviously assuming there's more people there. But what if somebody's more so than the other, like later on somebody else comes in?
It depends. You can add extra people as your representative class. Okay. But it depends. So we usually try to find the best person suited to represent each class. And to make things even more complicated for you, Diana, because I know, because we love to get into these complicated legal things. No. You can have classes within the class. I know. It's exhausting.
Like an A and a B?
Correct.
Like homeroom A,
yes,
homeroom B?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. I'm just gonna.
So you can have homeroom A could have been affected in this way, and homeroom B could have been affected in this way.
Yeah.
And so you have a representative from each homeroom.
Okay, but everybody's going in on the same claim, everybody,
Because the
whatever.
defendants are the same. The cause of action is essentially the same, but oftentimes, for example, the damages might be different, or the time they were affected might be different. It might be a different point in time. There's all sorts of different considerations here for where it is. So, for example, each person, you might have a group that was affected between 2022 and 2023, and then a different group that was affected in 1998.
Whoa.
So yeah,
you're going all the way back?
we go all the way back sometimes. Sometimes we have to go all the way back. So it just depends when the cause of action started.
Can you do that?
We can. It's magical.
1998?
Sometimes we can.
Help me
If
out
it's
here.
an ongoing
1998?
tort, if it's been going on for that long, we can.
Why don't we use a real life example?
Yes.
What do
Yeah.
you think, Sandra? Should we use
Yeah,
a real
Let's talk
life
about-
example?
Give me some
Let's talk about
exhibits, guys.
Let's talk about
Get our
York
lawyers.
University.
No, I was going to talk about a different one.
Go ahead.
Because there's more people in the class.
Please, go ahead.
So let's talk about our case where we represent, our representative plaintiff is a young woman in her 20s who, when she was 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, was in Army cadets.
Right.
Through the Canadian Forces, and was unfortunately sexually assaulted. And this is a huge problem. These are minors. They're sexually assaulted by commanding officers who are not minors. And so we've sued the government of Canada, which is responsible for the Canadian Armed Forces and the cadet program.
And for the Queen?
Well, now I guess when we started it was the Queen.
Now it's the king.
It's the
Do you
king.
have to amend your statement of claim?
No.
King Charles?
We did not.
Okay, sorry. We were going. So you were saying.
It's amended automatically.
Yeah.
But ultimately, in that class, we estimate that there are thousands of women that have been in that situation.
Okay.
And so, and we've gone back in time from current all the way back about, I think, 25 years, like 95, 96.
Or you just blast it out there and you hope it reaches those women that were affected or women or men that were affected 25, 30 years?
Yeah, so what we do is we blast it in media, social media, and online media so that we get the word out to everyone who would be affected to, it's more important that they know about it and more important that they know about whether they, because how it works in Canada is you're in unless you specifically opt out.
Oh.
So everybody's in the class action as a matter of right. The reason we need to let them know about it is if they want to opt out of the class action and do it on their own. So that's the portion where they have to. So they have to know that. Then at the end, when we settle or get judgment, they need to know about the settlement or the judgment so that they can apply for their compensation.
And they can be like, I need my, I don't know what they would get in that instance if they were
Correct.
never part, if you never had their name from the get-go, right?
It actually doesn't matter. So what we do is when we do a settlement or a judgment on a class action, we do it contemplating all of the litigants. So if we believe there's, let's say, call
The
it
homerooms.
all the homerooms. So let's say there's 1,000 people in the homeroom.
Yeah.
The settlement is based on 1,000 people.
Wow.
And then we're required to publish it in such a way that it'll come to their attention. But we get calls. So for example, people will call us all the time and say, oh, I heard you're doing XY class action. How do I sign up?
Okay.
And the answer is, as Sandra said, they're automatically signed up. Once we've started the class action, if they're an affected party, they're automatically in. So all they have to do, they don't sign a retainer with our firm. Literally all they have to do is provide their name and email address. That's all they have to do, and they're automatically in. But even people that don't do that are still automatically in unless they choose at some point to opt out.
Okay, you can see I'm squishing my face and my eyeballs are twirling.
Yes, I
'cause
know,
I'm trying
it's
to
a
figure
lot.
out. So it's
very complicated.
Okay, from the get-go, you need this representative plaintiff, then you got your homeroom groups, homeroom A and homeroom B, or different classrooms, I
Right.
guess?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
And then what? So you issue the claim, you
Yes.
sue the
Issue-
queen
you sue the
or
queen.
king,
Yes.
and then what? And then what? So then you roll out,
Well, we go through all the legal nonsense that we go through.
you get all the people's names and numbers and all
we
that
don't need the names and numbers yet, but we go through all our sort of legalese, and then we come to a point where we're settling or we get a judgment from the court.
Okay.
And then after we do that, we do a big sort of advertisement saying, hey, this is what happened. If you want to apply for compensation under the settlement or the judgment, this is where you apply and this is where you go.
But then when does it end? Like, how do you,
Settlement or judgment.
No, I know, but then you cut it off. Let's say, you settle a claim, and then 2 years from now, somebody's like, oh, hey,
Nope. Once it's done, it's done.
once it's done, settled. And then what do you give it? Like a timeline, like a 30 days, 60 days,
Yeah,
90
the
days?
court, when you settle a case or there's a judgment, the court actually sets a timeline by which those things have to be done.
Okay.
And beyond that timeline, as Sandra says, that's it.
And this representative plaintiff the leader of the group,
Yes,
if you will.
of the homeroom. Correct.
Yeah, the leader of the homeroom. I'm guessing their involvement for the most part, they're the ones that are pushing forward the claim. So they're going to get maybe a little bit more out of it.
Yes.
Like, how do you decide? Like, what if one person, like you mentioned with these cadets, what if one of them spiraled into a life that,
Right. So that's why
and
we have the
another one was just like, yeah, my cadet leader touched
Well,
me.
to be
and then
fair, there's two ways it can happen,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
In some cases, there's a global amount that's awarded for the settlement or the judgment, and everybody could just share in it on an equal basis, regardless of what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
In other cases, there are different categories. So there will be a
Right.
settlement, and then you fall into category A, category B, category C, and if you're in A, you get X. If you're in B, you get Y. If you're in C, you get
So let me
Z.
explain it to you like a food poisoning. I think it's easier with an analogy like this.
Oh, I've been there.
We've all been there. That's why it's easy. So you
48 hours of it.
go to a place
Yeah.
that like the CNE or Wonderland where they're serving a lot of
Can you
food.
And
say
to be
names?
clear, Sandra, we're not, we're not suggesting
No.
that Wonderland or the CNE
No.
would give anybody
No,
food
but what
poisoning.
I'm
These are
sugge-
just hypotheticals.
This is a
Lawyers,
hypothetical.
eh?
Like.
As
So you
if
go to a gathering of many people
at a public
at
establishment.
a public establishment
In which food is served.
In which food is served.
There we go.
Now they're handing out this food to various people. So some people are going to get the food and they will feel nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They will feel nothing and they will continue on. So that's one grouping of people that feel nothing. Then you have people that will be sick in the washroom for 2 days and that will be another grouping of people and then they're fine.
Right.
Then you'll have people who will actually have to be hospitalized because the food poisoning is that bad. So they will be a third group.
Right.
So depending on the damages, you can group people together with like damages and settle out each portion of the class depending on the damages.
Well, now it makes sense.